Good morning, everybody. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy Rick. I'm back. This LIB Media Man. And I'm here to talk about a topic I don't think I've ever done before. I don't think me and Cheese we've ever done this one before, but this is a super interesting topic, something I really want to because we didn't we didn't actually do a Super Bowl episode because the game was so like kind of like one-sided that we didn't really do much. We didn't do much with it. But y'all let us know, man. If y'all want us to talk about the game, so we can give our thoughts on the game. But outside of that, though, I just wanted to as far as for this video, it's gonna be it's gonna be called Keys to Rebuilding during your off season. So the biggest problem NFL teams be having is trying to rebuild or retool in the off season, right? So if your team is at the of bottom of your conference, bottom of your division, right? If you're a fan of a team, your team only won 3 games, 4 games, you're like, dang, we're so far away from a Super Bowl. How do we get there? So I got a couple of keys that I believe. Obviously, I'm not an NFL GM, but me just, from loving football my whole life, just being around the sport, this is what I picked up on what teams have been doing to become Super Bowl contending teams, right? And so, the most first and simple thing, it's a couple of points. So the most first and simple thing everybody thinks about is getting a quarterback. I'm not going to include that in this video because, you know what? Matter of fact, I will. That's fine. Getting a quarterback to me is obviously you see that there are quarterbacks that are not picked in the top 5 that end up being good quarterbacks. Russell Wilson had had a great career. You got the Dak Prescotts of the world. You got the Kurt Warners of the world. Lamar Jackson was picked 32. So you have these quarterbacks who aren't drafted super high, but then you have some that are drafted super high, like Jaden, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, got drafted high, played well. I would say when you're drafting a quarterback, the 3 main keys is 1, don't reach for a quarterback. So that's for the teams like the Giants and the Raiders this year. If you're not in love with any of the quarterbacks, don't reach. Number 2, find an offensive coordinator who knows how to work with that quarterback skill set. Don't draft a Jalen Hurts and ask him to throw the ball 50 times a game. It just doesn't make sense. Don't try to draft Tom Brady and ask him to run the read option. It's just simple as that. Find an OC who's going to work with that skill set that quarterback already has so that they can grow and mature a lot more quickly. And don't be scared to take a quarterback in a later round if they fall to you. If you get a second round guy or a third round guy and you already have a quarterback on your roster, you can Jordan Love this thing where you got a quarterback on your roster. It's okay to be like old school football where you draft a guy just for him to develop, for him to sit on the bench behind an older guy you already have starting, right? And just put him there, let him sit 2 years, and then when he comes in the game, he's ready to play. Next and biggest key. Be careful about signing big names rather than players. So a lot of times these GMs say, hey, like a guy like Deebo Samuel or Cooper Kupp, those are names I've been hearing. Older guy, not super old. Cooper Kupp is over 30, but Deebo's not super old, but it has a list of injuries, hasn't had a great season in 3 years. Right, but because he's a household name, people are gonna run. Oh, we gotta trade for him. No, don't trade for bad contracts. Don't sign players to bad contracts when you don't have to. There's a younger player who's probably developing who can do most of the things that player can do, and they'll save you $30 million. So as you can see, if we're talking about just like the Super Bowl teams, right? Kansas City got up off a Tyreek Hill contract. Was like, hey, Tyreek, we could give you this much. If the Dolphins are going to give you more than that, go ahead. It ain't worth it. The NFL has a hard cap. And then when you understand the cap, you understand the flexibility of what you actually can and cannot do. And if I can have a rookie and a third-year player who are both now on rookie contracts make up the production that you bring, and you want to make $40 million a year, what's the smarter thing to do, right? You look at the Eagles. They pick up a guy like Zach Bond on a 1-year deal. Zach Bond was an All-Pro this year. See what I mean? Just that simple. You didn't need to go find Patrick Willis or Ray Lewis. It was like, oh, let's grab Zach Bond and let's put him in a great system and let's let him do what he already does great, right? Let's not make him be somebody he's not. Let's allow him to be him, right? And then let's play that way, right? Okay, so contracts is a big thing. 2, this is number 3. Number 3 would be knowing when to trade. Okay, so this kind of goes hand in hand with the contracts one. Like, if a guy's having a bad contract and you see that his production is going down, you trade him a year early rather than a year late. If you trade a guy and a guy ends up still having a great season, more power to him. But it's better to get rid of him early than late, which we know the greatest dynasty in the history of football is the Patriots, and that's Bill Belichick always believed in that. Trade him a year earlier rather than a year later. And he's done that with a lot of players where you're like, dang, Bill, that player still had a lot left in the tank. But he always was looking for it, always monitoring the cap, always understanding the flexibility that he would or would not have if he if he didn't get off that player. So that's also a big important one. And then also doing your due diligence as a GM in trading, meaning doing your research, checking the injury history, just going out and asking our players available. You never know until you ask, right? This isn't like the NBA, which I guess the Luka thing blew this out the water. But in the NBA, you got certain people who are just untouchable. In the NFL, you never know. It might be like, hey, we got Jalen Ramsey. Y'all want him? I mean, he's still Jalen Ramsey, but at a certain point, it's like how much his salary is taking up so much, and how much is he actually impacting the game at the point that he's at in his career, right? That happens to all players, and I support player loyalty. I support teams saying, hey, we drafted you. We want you to retire here. You're a great locker room guy. I love all of that. Right. But if that's going to be the case, because this is a business, the player has to meet the team halfway. Like, hey, man, you know what? I'll take a 15 million a year, 2-year contract rather than the 30 mil I was making when I was actually catching 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. Because now I know I'm gonna be a 700 yard a game guy. I'm really just here for the locker room. I'm here to establish the culture, and I want to work with you. If the guy doesn't want to do that, and you can't blame the guy. If it's your first contract, I always tell you, go all in. It's your first contract, get as much money as you can. On your second contract, you try to do the same thing. When you start getting to that third contract, if you're even a player of that caliber, because players of that caliber are the ones that really even get 3 contracts. It's rare to get 3 contracts in the NFL. But players of that caliber, then you get to be, since we talking about the Eagles, Fletcher Cox. Play your whole career there, right? Team give you the home, you take the home team discount once you no longer the impact player you once was, but they still want you on the roster to help set up the culture. And so that would be point 3. Point 4, and I think this is the biggest point. So point 4 and 5 are going to go hand in hand. It's the draft, right? So let's talk about the draft. I said this kind of earlier when I was talking about quarterbacks, but this applies to every player in the draft. If you need a position in the draft, don't reach. If you have the 10th pick and you need a defense, you need an edge rusher, and the 2 edge rushers you were looking at are off the board, and you do not trade back. Always, if the guy you say we need is not on the board, you trade back. And if you're not, if they're not going to give you what if they're not going to give you what you want while trading back, then take the best player available. That's why I say these two go hand in hand. Best player available and trading back. Because a lot of times people don't watch Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, but he trades back in a lot of later rounds. See, like if Jalen Carter's going to follow you because he has issues off the field, don't overthink it. Take him. Right? The issues off the field, we've seen this in the NFL time and time and time again. The greatest NFL player I think that ever played had problems off the field. Lawrence Taylor was doing cocaine and all kind of other stuff. Who cares? He gonna get 20 sacks and win MVP? Who really cares? Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, but just saying, like, trading back, because in the draft gets tricky. You have to trade back, right? And then take the best player available. And I know that's hard sometimes because you might say, I already have a defensive end. But that is how this whole video comes together, because then you scoot up a little bit and say, hey, I could take this player. I could take this wide receiver. And my second wide receiver is a guy that's been here a while. He make a good bit of money. Well, maybe I should just trade that receiver, see if I can get more picks, and then I bring a rookie in, and then I just retool that whole thing. I drop the salary cap down. I did all of these things at one time because that's the best player available, and there was nobody for me to trade back with because I did my due diligence as a GM, and I know, okay, this other defensive end I could get him in the second round because everybody down looked at Mel Kiper board, and say this player is that player rather than, and we as a team, we went and scouted that player ourselves. And we think that player has a great engine. We think that player translates. We believe this player will be a good player because unlike some of these big board people who make these big boards about where these players belong. So a lot of these people just say, well, this person, he has upside. He has potential. Man, look, me, I'm a player. I don't care about, I personally don't care about any of that. When I am doing my self-scouting of players, two things. If you see it on film, believe the film. If a player has the stats, he got the stats. That's all I say. All this will it translate to the league. To me, everything translates to the league if the coach lets you do what you've already been doing. I remember a couple years back when the Chargers was drafting Rashawn Slater and Washington. I went to Washington to get him, right? And they were talking about, he got short arms and we don't know if it's going to translate. So you mean to tell me a man played 4 years of college, being a left tackle, not giving up a sack, right? But now when he gets to the NFL, that ain't going to work. I don't get it. Don't believe it. Do your due diligence. Look at this player. Said this player was productive. This player fits our culture and fits our scheme. Take the best available player that meets that criteria. Outside of that, trade back. And last but not least, you gotta hit on at least 1 or 2 picks each year in picks 3 through 7. Those are the most important picks in the draft. If you can be like the San Francisco 49ers and find a guy like Hufanga, right, in the 5th round, and he's an all-pro, you did a great job. Did a fantastic job. Washington, if you want to be like Washington, we get Terry in the 3rd round, and Terry ends up being a second-team all-pro this year. You did a good job. Those are the draft picks that change the trajectory of your team. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, they weren't 1st and 2nd round picks. Picks 3 through 7. That's where you find gems. And if those gems turn out to be all pros, you help yourself, one, with the cap because their rookie contract isn't going to be as big. So you help yourself there with the cap. right? But then not only that, you help yourself with the team, because now if you happen to hit on your first pick because you followed the rest of Ricky's rules, right? Then the rest falls in line. So I would say that would be my advice for anybody trying to start a team. Those 5 rules are what I would say, which you're trying to do in the offseason to rebuild, to retool. You know what I'm saying? Don't reach for any players at any position. Monitor the contracts, knowing when to trade, hitting picks 3 through 7, and trusting your draft process. Culture, stats, what you see on film. Just trust those things, right? And picking up the phone as a GM, calling, seeing who's available, knowing when to get off contracts, monitoring the salary cap, just doing these things every year. And if you keep doing them, your team will be able to build a great team, man. So I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. Hey, man, everybody, be out there, be safe, be healthy. As y'all can see, I just came back inside from my morning workout. A little walk, jog. Just trying to stay in shape, man. So everybody, stay healthy out there. Stay blessed up. And this your boy Rick, man. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. This LIB Media, and we out of here. Peace.